Do you think he's a war criminal?
I've had it, ladies, having a conversation with Cory Booker.
Benjamin Netanyahu, do you think he's a war criminal?
Again, these are questions that a lot of people think are the important litmus tests that are loaded and hot. My urgency is to be an effective leader in bringing an end to this crisis. And I get these questions all the time that to me undermine my urgency.
I think the thing that Democrats get so frustrated with, where we are right now, where you see like the Zoran Mamdanis and the Graham Plattners rise up, because they can go on podcasts and you can say, do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal? And they just say, yes. And that's the end of it. It's not all of the rhetoric answering. It's like what happens to Democratic politicians, they go through this like prism, and then we can't ever get like the answer to yes or no conversations like you do with Bernie and others. And that's the frustration for the Democratic.
Do I think Netanyahu is worse than Trump? Yes.
Bro, it is not that hard to say that Benjamin, like, this is a exit ramp. This is a literal exit ramp for Cory. Like, this is the liberal Zionist exit ramp. Oh yeah, Netanyahu is really bad. He's a war criminal. But he can't even say that. It's just like, it's so crazy how hard they have to dick ride Israel. I can't, like, this is so wild to me that it unironically feels like there's like, do they have blackmail? Like, what the fuck is going on? It's over. You know what I mean? Like, what are you defending? It's over, man. It's over. It's like the established global position, right? And it blows my mind that these liberals won't say it out loud. I don't understand it. Like, what is the purpose? What could be the purpose of this? What do you mean they're still being paid by AIPAC? I know, but like, AIPAC payments are a vehicle to win re-elections. And the moment that AIPAC payments are seen as a negative thing, the moment that there's a negative association, because like AIPAC skirted by not being as well known as it is now. Obviously, in my circles, in the pro-Palestinian circles, everybody knew AIPAC. Everybody shit on AIPAC a lot. But for the rest of the country, most Americans didn't know what the fuck AIPAC really was. If you're a political commentator, of course you know what it is. But if you're like an average person, you probably didn't really know what AIPAC was. You didn't have a negative association with Israel, and you didn't have a negative association with AIPAC. That has changed. Now, when there's any sort of when any sort of politicians ask about AIPAC or ask about Israel, if they don't take like a very negative approach, especially on the Democratic Party side, where there's only like 8% support for Israel's military incursion in Gaza, you're cooked. It's now a negative association. So now you actually have to work to rid yourself of that association with Israel if you want to continue winning elections. That's where we're at right now.
It's a handful of people that don't take corporate PAC money. I don't understand my Democratic
What about AIPAC money? You take AIPAC money, don't you?
A minuscule percentage of my resources come from
I read it's like
871,000.
800,000.
Yeah, but that's a lifetime number of raising tens of millions of dollars. Let me give you the right stat. The majority of my money comes from small dollar contributions. My last report, I think 76% of it came from people that gave $25 or less. Again, we could pick at each other, or we could do what we need.
Yeah, we gotta unify. It's like, yeah, we do, which means you have to unify with us on this issue, because the overwhelming majority is no longer believing this. Now it actually hurts you.
To be doing right now is joining in a chorus of conviction to condemn it. And again, I'm a child of civil rights activists. You think Malcolm X and Martin Luther King agreed on everything? No. But when it came to the fight,
that's crazy to talk about Israel funding and being a dick rider for a foreign nation. Now, obviously, when it comes to Cory Booker, Israel is one of the problems. The other problem also is his pharmaceutical donors as well. He is like Johnson & Johnson's most loyal soldier, obviously, from his state. J&J is from New Jersey. So like there's a lot of other issues as well. But like with Israel, because it's a foreign country, because it's a foreign country that has dominated American politics and American political discourse, especially in these past 2 years, where there is a negative association with Israel, any sort of like, oh, I'm trying to unify here, and you're like getting in the way of that by constantly bringing up Israel, is silly, because it is a major point of contention. It is a major point of contention where you are at odds with the population. You are at odds with your voters. You're at odds with the broader population in general. This is a perfectly valid issue to bring up. It's not being a spoiler. It's not like finding minutia to disagree on and then engage in like purity spirals or purity politics. This is a major issue.
They joined together and created a movement that was successful. And that's really what my focus is. And
I
as
think,
as the only person in the caucus.
Your analysis on AIPAC funding seems a little premature, might be more apt in the coming years. No, I disagree. Especially among Democrats, no shot. Democrats do not look at not just AIPAC, any kind of like association, positive association with Israel as a positive. They do not. They see it as dishonesty, which is correct. They should see it as that. So you're absolutely wrong about this, because the inverse of this already took place for Democratic voters. Yes. When the Democratic voters see a politician dick ride Israel this hard at a time when there's unprecedented negativity associated with Israel for good reason, especially in the Democratic Party's base, where it's like 80% of Democrats don't fuck with Israel. If you are a Democratic Party politician and you are still united in this like pro-Israel narrative without actually offering any significant concessions, without even trying to take the Benjamin Netanyahu is bad off-ramp, which I think still doesn't go far enough, you are telling all of the voters that listen in, that tune into this stuff, you're telling all those voters you don't give a fuck about them, you don't give a fuck about their opinions, you don't actually care about anything other than defending Israel. Being anti-Israel in this day and age is one of the most effective ways of communicating earnesty. Zohran Mamdani is proof of this concept. It already happened. We don't have to speculate any longer. We don't have to present approval ratings or polls any longer. We can just point to a person who boldly declared that as an American mayor, he cares about his constituents here and not about a foreign nation. And he was rewarded for it. That was a major turning point in American political discourse. Now, I'm not talking about what Zohran has done since then, okay? Because we're talking about his electoral victory in the primaries, the upset victory that he secured in the Democratic New York mayoral primaries. Voters overwhelmingly see something wrong. They see that Israel is doing a lot of harm. And then they look at the media and they see everybody dick riding Israel. They look at our politicians and they see everybody dick riding Israel. They go, what the fuck is going on here? So you can cut away at that. As a party, if the National Democratic Party took a partisan approach and became anti-Israel, they would win tremendous favors in the process. They would be able to communicate earnesty at a time when they are in dire need of goodwill from the broader population. This is precisely the reason why they lost the previous election. This is a major issue with the way that Democrats are perceived. Earnestness, not earnesty. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Earnestness. I'm not even doing the moral position anymore. Okay. I don't have to argue on the boundaries of morality. Although I have, and although I still do, because it is immoral to defend Israel. But a lot of people in the field of politics don't care about that. They're immoral vessels. They are empty suits, empty husks that are utterly soulless. Being anti-Israel recovers something that the Democratic Party has lost, the confidence of the voters that they actually do listen to their desires. This is the best opportunity to strike. This is the best opportunity to present. And the reason why I say that is because right now, there is still a major fissure between the way that the public perceives Israel and the way that politicians communicate their undying loyalty to Israel. And there are people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and numerous others who actually take advantage of that messaging vacuum and present themselves as honest communicators, saying things that others are too afraid to say. Meanwhile, you shouldn't even be afraid to say this because it's beneficial to say this.
That lives in a low-income black and brown neighborhood below the poverty line. I still remember when some progressives from the suburbs came down to protest me, and they were literally chased away by my neighbors. Because we are in an urgency, every day I see it, we are in an urgency where real people are getting hurt. When I go up and down in New Jersey, they don't care about the fact that I took 1% of my money from some group. They care about, what are you doing to restore my health care?
I think the Democratic base feels like there is a disconnect. We hear you, like when you did your 25-hour speech, I was like, go, Cory. I love this. That is amazing. And then there's a photo shoot with you with Benjamin Netanyahu. And I was just like, what in the actual fuck? Like, how can he do that? It was heartbreaking. I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And hang on. And that doesn't just happen in an echo chamber. Democrats like you, where the base, we should make each other better. It's not a purity test. We want credible messengers. Because when we are down the middle, beholden to corporate interests, we leave this vacuum. And that's how fascism has flourished. For myself and a lot of our listeners, when I saw the picture with Benjamin Netanyahu, I felt like it diminished your 25 hours. That's how it felt to me.
That's a great cook. Wait, people said she was soft on him. This is not. Van recently spoke on why the Dems don't feel the need to fix this disconnect.
There's a large cohort of people that are getting to that. It's really going to be up to them about how they change and how they govern and who they take their money from. Because remember, the way I look at it is this. When you take some of this huge corporate moneyed interest out, you actually have to be a pure and better communicator of your values to your people, because it's then them that is paying you. Yes. So really, you get a cheat code by having a big faceless, nameless corporation or the lobbying group.
I will be linking up with Van. Hold on. I want to see more of this interview, to be honest. Oh, there's also a Kamala genocide question. On MSNBC, Kamala is asked directly by Eugene Daniels. HasanAbi head Eugene Daniels asked if Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza, and here's how Kamala Harris replied.
A lot of folks in your party have called what's happening in Gaza a genocide. Do you agree with that?
I think that, listen, it is a term of law that a court will decide, but I will tell you that when you look at the number of children that have been killed, the number of innocent.
Oh, this is what I mean, bro. This is what I mean. It's just like, oh, the court of law will decide this. Like, let's leave it up to the courts. Only the court of law will be able to decide this. It's like, okay, well, the United Nations already conducted an investigation and found that Israel was committing a genocide. Like, at this point, even Bernie Sanders has recognized it. I mean, he still does the but Hamas, but like, he has recognized that Israel's doing a genocide. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Oh. Like, she's out of politics too, which is why it's so crazy. But I feel like you're cutting the vid short.
Civilians that have been killed, the refusal to give aid and support. We should all step back and ask this question and be honest about it. Yeah.
It's just, what a waste. With such insight, she could have been mayor of New York. When you look at the number of children that have been killed, we should all take a step back and ask this question and be honest about it. Yeah. At least, I mean, I guess at least she's like recognizing it. So that's not that bad. Kamala Harris says, we should be honest about whether we call Israel's actions in Gaza a genocide while refusing to call it a genocide. Sounds like calculated boutique workshop response to placate her base. She is still absolutely and hopelessly out of touch. I agree. Just say yes. That's what the United Nations declared it as. Like, it's the highest standard beyond the ICC and the ICJ, which will take a long time to arrive at a reasonable conclusion, if they even arrive at a reasonable conclusion at all, especially considering the unimaginable pressure from the Trump administration that has been placed on this court.
I told you, we're like the first to bring up AIPAC in years, which is interesting.
I will not vote for a candidate that takes $1 from AIPAC.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't thought about AIPAC. And it's interesting. You're like the first to bring up AIPAC in years, which is interesting.
Why
did I say that?
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Not relevant to my day-to-day life.
Why is that interesting? Of course it's relevant to your day-to-day life. If it was irrelevant, you wouldn't be taking money from them, and you wouldn't actually like push for any kind of provision that silences like American voices at the behest of a foreign nation state, right? Wasn't there a recent bill that he actually signed into law that was like another one of these like crazy, cynical anti-Semitism bills that was just like combating any sort of anti-Israel speech? He told Brianna on her pod that he would keep pushing on this. AB 715. Yeah. Governor Newsom signs bill further cracking down on hate and anti-Semitism in California schools. Obviously, it's presented as like combating hate speech, but this is a terrible way to respond to this.
Okay.
Which is just interesting.
Listen.
It's interesting you say that. JPAC perhaps more, but AIPAC less and less.
Okay. Fair enough.
Which is just interesting.
What's interesting about it?
That it's just interesting as you bring up AIPAC, that it hasn't been part of I'm just reflecting quite openly and honestly. Hasn't been part of the day to day.
Yeah. The only reason why I ask is because
It's not even JPEG, it's J Street. Good luck compromising with a brick wall. I mean, look, what's the quote? You can't convince a man whose entire bag relies on him not being convincible. Something like that. I'm f***ing it up. It's just like, guys, stop calling him APAC Shakur. That's Hakeem Jeffries. Okay?